All right, so we're going to try to switch gears here if we can. I could talk X's and O's all day long, and I love this stuff. Digging in and actually seeing, okay, what's going on the field it always gets me fired up, man. Now, when you're looking at receptions allowed and targets, Keyshawn has been targeted more than anybody on the team. He's given up the most receptions allowed as well. Although yards allowed, that's going to Eric Stokes, man. The fact that Eric Stokes has played far fewer snaps than Jair Alexander and Keyshawn Nixon and has given up the most yards on the team really tells you all you need to know about where Eric Stokes is at on the team. It's tough because it's a first-round pick, but I think we would all agree, man, Goody missed on it. It is what it is. You just got to admit that and move on. I hope they don't try to extend him unless it's something that he's willing to take a very, very, very team-friendly deal, he being Eric Stokes. But we're going to find out as we get a little bit further into the season and into the offseason if Eric Stokes turns it on. Sometimes that can be GM's flaws, right, as they want their first-round pick to work out because that's a bad mark on their record when you miss on a first-round pick and you maybe try to see a little something there that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. But, again, that's your guy. That's the dude that you want to pan out for your team. Sometimes that's where you can find yourself in trouble there. But Jair Alexander giving up 244 yards on 17 receptions. Obviously, he's given up some big plays, and he does kind of freelance from time to time. You've seen that against A.J. Brown, which it looks like A.J. Brown's back, and, man, he is dominating again. So it's not like Jair got beat by a bad player. A.J. Brown, one of the best in the league to do it for sure. So, Tim, you just let me know when you're back, big dog. But when Tim gets back in here, we'll hit the chat a little bit heavier. Again, just wanted to hit on some of those pressures since it got brought up in the chat. It wasn't really a part of the show notes here, but I'm glad we did it. And I completely agree, Randy. We need to get Goff off his spot. He's different when you get pressure on him. Definitely, especially with that ankle. As we pointed out earlier, that the injury report, he kind of pops up on the injury report with that ankle. He did not practice yesterday. Now, listen, I think he's going to play Sunday, obviously, but with that ankle injury, you need to test that. I'm not saying you go after that ankle and try to hurt him. I'm saying you got to try to get him off his spot. So you'll probably see a lot of five-man looks this week as far as bringing five on the rush. I wouldn't be surprised by that one bit. So let's see here. Ron Samble says, Rebrovich said they are still working through the change in defense. There must be more to play in these positions on the D-line than I realized. That goes for all of us, Ron. And that's why when we were talking about what this defense is going to look like, we always referred to in the offseason that Hafley kept saying when he was in college and all the press conferences and stuff and the interviews he did in college, he kept saying, my friends in the NFL, my friends in the NFL. That friend he was talking about was Robert Saleh, okay? Hands down, that's the guy that he was referring to. So you turn on the New York Jets tape and they're getting pressure with four. That's great. That's ideal. That's what you want. But the Packers, they're approaching it a different way. Now, it is worth mentioning Robert Saleh got fired, so it's not like everything was just all hunky-dory there. Now, it seems like their defense has gotten worse since he got fired. There's no two ways about that. But everybody's personnel is a little bit different. You just came from a 34 jam front in your base, and you're now switching to a 4-3. There's going to be a transition period. But when we talked about in the offseason, we're going, okay, what's this going to look like with Hafley? These are the things we were trying to figure out what it's going to look like. Now you've got a half a season of tape, roughly a half a season. What, we're in week 8 now, week 9, going into week 9. So, yeah, a full half season of tape. When you look at it, what you're seeing is a lot of run stunting, and you're seeing a lot of these guys that, you're bringing 4 on this play, but there's only 3 truly rushing the quarterback. The others got eyes on the quarterback and kind of playing that mid-contain. Or when you bring 5, you're actually only bringing 4, and you got that one that's kind of sitting in mid-contain. Now, PFF will call it a pass rush. Next Gen Stats will call it a pass rush because he engaged with the blocker, and he's kind of working up the field. But you could tell they're not really pinning their ears back and going with everybody who's rushing. It's working like a charm right now, too. So it could be better. But, yeah, I'm with you, Ron. It takes a little time to kind of understand, okay, when we were going into the offseason, I was saying the big negative of switching to a 4-3 is you're bringing that one-gap approach, right? And you get upfield and you're going to get gashed because you're going to be running right by the quarterback in some cases and running right by the running back in some cases. They really didn't press into that just one gap, pin your ears and go. And you can see it all over the tape. And anyone who says they're not, they're simply not watching the tape. Like, you can see it all over it. You're not – again, we showed you a handful of snaps there. out of all those snaps, let's say there were 11 snaps, there was probably 2 where you go, okay, they're really pinning it back, all 4 getting at the quarterback here. In those 2, Sam Darnold rushed for a first down, right? So it's just important to understand the little nuances to the defense and everything that goes with it, right? So I think that's a great comment there, though, a great observation. All right. Let's see what else we got. Nick McSwain, Goff is playing like the best quarterback in the NFL lately. Man, when you look at the statistics, the passer rating, it's hard to disagree with that, Nick. He's leading this team to 50 points last week. Obviously, that was huge. They boat raced Dallas, although it's okay. How good is Dallas there a couple weeks ago? But the other thing, too, is like the PFF grade is like a 66. And, Tim, I know we kind of talked about it briefly last night. It would take me diving into a 4-game saturation to understand what PFF's seeing there probably. But this is just another kind of negative mark on PFF. Like, how can he be grading out so low when your stats are that freaking good, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, is the ball just slightly off on every play and they can't give him like a perfect mark? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it they're seeing?
I would love to know this. And it's not just Jared Goff. There's probably hundreds of players that, kind of show up goofy on these PFF stats, but it also could be just Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff's kind of been underrated his whole career. I mean, you go back to the LA days. I think he's been underrated, and now he's playing his best ball. I think Nick McSwain's right. He's playing like one of the best, certainly. I mean, we talked about the top tier QBs last night, the Lamar Jacksons and Joey B's and Josh Allen's out there. But I think, let's be honest, Goff's on the Lions, right? He's on a blue collar team, smaller stature kind of team. Detroit has just kind of emerged these past couple seasons as a legitimate contender. And I think maybe PFS just kind of treating them like they always did. And he's, putting up better numbers and playing his best ball. He's got that offense humming. And we've got to make him uncomfortable on Sunday. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Regardless of what type of game this ends up being, in the elements, we cannot let Jared Goff sit in that pocket and just pick us apart. Just can't do it. The pressure's got to get there. It's not all about sacks, right? Pressure pick, coverage, sack kind of thing. So we got to play good on the back end, but up front we got to be disciplined and hit our spots. I'm sure Coach Haf will dial up some creative packages to try and make Jared Goff uncomfortable. But yeah, Clay, I don't know what it is with the PFF grading because the stats don't lie. The numbers are there for him this year.
Yeah. And when you see, 13 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, sometimes that can be misleading, right? A lot of short touchdown passes and maybe he's not effective anywhere else. But when you look at the yardage is kind of there. But the completion percentage, 74.1, and PFF says he's a 66. That's just, man, I don't know. I can't. It's hard for me to get on board with that. Here are all the times that Jared Goff's been sacked. This might be a good way to kind of take a quick look and see how other teams are getting pressure on Jared Goff. So why don't we kind of see what they're doing here? And really, at the beginning of the year, it doesn't matter as much. What I'd like to do is get to the backside here. Let me go and make sure. So here's the Vikings game. Here's the Titans game. These are like I said, all the sacks. Why don't we just go the last 2 games? And it should pick up right there and play along, okay? And let's see what happened to Goff on these sacks. How are teams hitting home, okay? Of course, now obviously Minnesota, they do a lot of mugging. We took a lot out of Minnesota's playbook with the Tampa 2 invert and mugging the A gap. So you see them all mugging right here. Let's see how they get pressure. So they're pretty much bringing the house, right? Just straight up the middle. Yeah. Not much Goff can do there. They actually got called for a hold on that play too. They cheated and still lost. So
Goff is that guy that'll, if he steps up or over in the pocket, he's going to get rid of the ball quick. If you don't allow him to do that and you crash that pocket in, that's what you see. You'll see a sack for sure.
Yeah. Now here you're seeing this mugging again, right? Everybody's mugging the line. So you got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mugging the line. Am I looking at 6 at least? There might be one off the corner there. So you got 6 mugging the line.
And you got safety in the box too.
Yeah. Let's see how many they actually bring. They just changed the protection, right? Let's see if anybody. All right. So a couple of them drop out. So it's actually just a 3-man rush.
See there, like even there, that pocket was relatively clean for him. The minute there's some pressure, it's step up and tuck it and brace for contact,
Yeah.
I don't. He's not the most mobile quarterback in the world. He's not.
One play you've seen him fire 6. This time they only brung 3. And with Goff looking to protect the football, right? Obviously just the 4 interceptions. Ball snapped, everybody's mugging. Those 2 guys drop out, and you've only got 3 guys blitzing you, and now you've got, 8? You'll have 8 in coverage. His immediate thought is, oh, crap, there's not going to be anybody open. And then you still hit home because you occupied one of those offensive linemen by mugging, by sugaring, right? Yep. That's something that what I'm seeing so far, I like our matchup there because Hafley's been doing a whole lot of that. And you got Edger and Cooper who can literally simulate a blitz on the opposite A gap and then get back and cover the opposite hash on a Tampa 2 look. Not a lot of teams can say they've got that. Let's watch this look here. This looks like a 4-man pressure, but they fire the safety, or actually that's a linebacker, isn't it? I can't remember his name, but they use him a lot in a hybrid role. So did the outside rusher actually drop out? Watch 51, okay? So they're showing that they're bringing 4. Yep, they dropped 51 out, and now they're bringing 43. So what that does is give you a one-on-one matchup here with the running back, right? And you see he's probably just going to run right through his face while the other guy from the backside hits.
And this is what, like I was talking about, and to your point, Jared Goff is known for protecting the ball. So if you can put him in a situation like this where he's not going to take the super risky throw, he's not going to put the ball in a bad spot. So if you can get him in the pocket there, patting the ball and trying to make up his mind while your pass rush gets home, this is the result you can get against him.
And watch number 90 here, Tim, what we've been talking about. He's not getting after the quarterback.
Nope, he's occupying blockers, man.
Yep. He's occupying blockers and now got his eyes, okay, if he tries to scramble right. We know the pressure's coming from the left. If he scrambles right, number 90 is going to be waiting on him.
Look at 43, though. My goodness.
Oh, yeah, he's a dog, dude. I'm trying to think, is his name Anzalone?
Anzalone, I think, yeah.
I can't remember. I get him mixed up. That's Van Ginkel.
Oh, Van Ginkel. Yeah, that guy is a dog, dude.
I get the 2 white boys mixed up. The only 2 white guys that are good at football. And then
don't forget about Harrison Smith.
Well, very true, man.
He's pretty good at football too. But look at that, man. That's a great example of like, I can't get around him or through him. I'm just going to take him with me right into the quarterback.
And he's got eyes on Goff. They're like, you go ahead, break either way. And he's just going to shed off and grab it, right?
If you guys want to know what a bull rush is, this is a great example of what a bull rush is.
I have a clue, man. So you're seeing, man, you don't have to fire a lot of guys. You just want to simulate it with Goff, right? Yeah. So let's watch right here. Again, same 2 teams. They were simulating 5 here, right? So you were mugging the A gap with 0. Now he's starting to drop out. Now he's just going to slide over a gap. The center's got eyes on him, right?
Yep.
Ball snap. So they actually just bring 4. And there's that 52 again. You see 52 kind of fading around.
Yep.
Ready to cover if he does go outside. Man, so it was number 58 that just beat his guy like a drum, spin move on the right side.
And they're rushing 4. See, this is what I think the formula is, and this is why I like Hafley, because Hafley's notorious for mixing up the pressures and the coverages. Mm-hmm. So like if you're dialing up, mug plays, and then you are sending 5 or you do send 6 and you are applying pressure, and then all of a sudden you fall off and you're only rushing 4. You give Goff that time to think, oh, okay, well, the pass rush is not coming. Let me try and dissect the secondary. And then the secondary is covering everybody. That's when you get him dancing around in that pocket, patting the football, and your 4-man rush can get home. It can. I mean, the Lions are a great football team, but anybody's beatable on any Sunday. We know this. So we just got to play smart football, and Hafley's got to be in his bag. And here's the other thing. None of this is going to mean a damn thing if we can't stop the run.
Absolutely.
If he's able to hand that ball off and they're getting chunk runs all day, setting up play action and things like that, you're not going to see a lot of pressures because they're just not going to be there. That run will soften up the defense. So if we're disciplining our run fits and Hafley's dialing up these overload looks or stunts and twists and getting creative with pressures, we got a chance to really make it hell for Jared Goff back there on Sunday. I really believe it.
Yeah. And this look right here, you're only bringing 4, but notice the left defensive end. He's going to engage and then loop back around, kind of like a TE stunt.
Yep.
And he knows pressure off the right side. So if Goff steps up and out with that pressure, guess who's going to be waiting on him? Yep. The end off that TE stunt. See how I'm saying? Like everything's married together, man.
Good awareness by him there on that play too. You see the tight end engages, and then once he knows the tight end's breaking off here, then he's off to the races.
Yeah. So here we are again. You got another guy mugging up here. Okay, so you're showing a 4-man simulation, and your guy that's in the wide 9 on the left, number 58, is actually going to drop out, and now you're firing the nickel or the safety, whoever 21 is. So you got the protection to slide to the right. That's why you end up with a double team right here. Everyone else is single block, and you're +1 on a hat, or you're at least a hat for a hat, and you like your chances of 21 beating the running back here, I guarantee it. Right? And he just presses him right back into Goff. Now, why is 50 not actually rushing the quarterback? What's he doing here? Watch 50 going to engage, drift off, and now he's going to play contain off to the right side.
Yep.
I'm telling you,
Ron Sandville in the chat with my point being proven here with a great quote here. Goff has rushed for 18 yards on 14 carries with a long of 8.
There you go.
So there you go. Are we worried about him wiggling out and running 30 yards down the field? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Bang.
Make him uncomfortable in that pocket.
Yeah. And really, this gives me a lot of hope. Now, I know some of this is probably kind of, obviously they blew the Titans out 42-14, but when you see how Minnesota and Tennessee have gotten pressure, this lines up with how we like to pressure. A lot of simulated pressure. You see right there, they were mugging 2, and they actually only brung 4, right? Bang.
Yep.
All right, so again, we went down the rabbit hole there. I apologize. But since it got brought up, why not just go straight to the tape, right?
Yep.
I think it's important to kind of keep your finger on the pulse there. Let's see here. Dead pitch again, like you said earlier. I still think Goff is much better from just throwing from a clean pocket. Got to get him to move, absolutely. And you do that with these TEs. You do this with these when you simulate that pressure. That you have to slide to protection, like you've seen on that one play where they slid it right, and that forced 1-on-1s on the left side. So you've got one guy who's going to eat that double team because you simulated the pressure off his side, even though he's dropping into coverage. As soon as Goff sees him drop, it's going to be a split second of hesitation, and that's all the time you need to hit home with that pressure. Yep. So, I like what we're seeing here, man. For sure.
I like Nick McSwain's comment here. Pass rush doesn't matter if receivers are open. It's so true. We can talk about all that stuff up front. If we're not solid on the back end, that ball's just going to come out quick, and you're going to get, yak yards and that kind of thing, or, screens or check downs or leak passes, skinny post, crossers, quick slants at the line. That's how you deal with a pass rush if there's no coverage. Now, if you've got coverage and your coverage is on point, now the pass rush becomes a little bit more relevant because you got to account for both of those factors. I think that's a great point by Nick here.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Everything's got to marry up together. That's the reason we always say pressure, pick, coverage, sack.
Yep.
Typically, if you get a sack, it's because it was good coverage. Typically, if you get a pressure, a pick, it's because you got pressure on the quarterback. And that's why sacks can be misleading. The more important stat are interceptions over sacks, hands down. Now, if you get yourself in a situation where you can strip sack on a consistent basis, absolutely. But 9 times out of 10, that quarterback is going to see it coming, tuck that ball, protect the football, and they're going to live to play another down, or at worst case scenario, gain a bunch of invisible yardage with a good punt, right? That's why the takeaways are so important, man, so important. And that's what I meant in the past when I'm saying, listen, if you're asking me, would you rather have a guy with 10 sacks on the year and 20 pressures, or would you rather have a guy with 7 sacks on the year and 35 pressures? I'm going with the 35 pressure guy.
Yep, me too.
Hands down every time. So, I understand sacks are sexy. I get it, man. It's
they're great to see
the quarterback get annihilated. I got it, but
and they're awesome when they're situational sacks, right? You got that 3rd and 7 or whatever, and they're trying to run a little play action or something, and you get home and knock that quarterback on his ass. We love that as fans, but that's not your bread and butter. You're not going to sack the quarterback every time. You want to make him uncomfortable and get pressure. Don't allow him time in that pocket to get to his reads.
Yeah. Omer in the chat said Packers could win this game, move into first, go to the bye with the Bears on deck. How sweet would that be? Absolutely, man. That's the goal here, obviously. But I'm more interested in how does this Packers team going to stack up with arguably the best team in the league. Like, we're going to learn a lot about this team, and we're going to learn a lot how Detroit sees Green Bay, from a strategic standpoint. And when you look at the numbers and how these two teams shape up here, this is the offensive personnel, okay, for the Packers and the Lions alone. The Packers run 11 personnel 71.1% of the time. Detroit runs 11 personnel only 55% of the time. And those are the team's two highest percentage ratings of personnel on offense. 11 personnel being 3 wide receiver sets, okay, 1 running back, 1 tight end, equaling 3 wide receivers. Now, next in line is Detroit running 12 personnel. They run it 34.1% of the time, guys. That's probably most in the league. Let's see, actually third most in the league that they run 12 personnel. What does that mean? We're going to have our 4-3 set on the field 34% of the time. Compared to what we've done all year long, if we were to hop around, we don't even have to. We know that the majority of the teams we face have run 11 personnel. Last week against the Jaguars, they run 12 personnel like 20-something% of the time, right? Like it was a high number. It was higher than Green Bay's 23.4%, which is 15th most in the league. So what does that tell us? A good chunk of the game, 34% of the time on average, the Packers are going to have their 4-3 defense on the field, which means you're going to have 3 linebackers. Quay's healthy now. Quay, Edgerrin Cooper, Eric Wilson, all 3 are effective at rushing the quarterback. If they're going to come out in a 12 personnel, we can mug a lot of these linebackers, the majority of these linebackers in those A-gaps, and get them on the line of scrimmage and do exactly what we've seen on tape right there, where you can simulate pressure from one side, drop them out, and then allow some of these backers to blitz. What you're going to see is probably a lot of 91 drop with Preston Smith dropping into coverage from time to time. So what you're going to see is your left end engaging with the tackle, then dropping back into coverage and bringing 1 or 2 linebackers on the opposite side on a pressure. I really like the way on tape this is matching up. Now, stopping Detroit's offense, it's a lot harder than that, man. They got one of the most potent – I think they got the best offense in the league, to be honest with you, man. When it comes to a point standpoint, they've got to be towards the top. Matter of fact, I could take a quick look here and see. Let's go scoring offense. Let's go points per play. Detroit is number 1 in the league in points per play at .543. Now, if we go points per game, which you guys know I like points per play over points per game, but points per game, they're at the top. 33.4 points is what they're scoring on average per game. This could turn into a damn shootout. Oh, but wait, Tim, we got rain in the forecast. Yeah. So this is going to get really interesting. And if
we get into a shootout with Detroit, elements aside, we're going to lose the game. We have to be good on defense. We have to get stops. We have to find a way to get off the field on third downs. I have no doubts that our offense is going to generate points. We're going to put points on the board. Detroit's defense is no slouch either. They're banged up, but they've got a good defense as well. They play complementary football. I think we can hang with them offensively, but if this is score for score back and forth and we're not getting stops, that's not going to favor us. If we can play fundamentally sound on defense and get some key stops, maybe create some turnovers like we're known to do, make Jared Goff uncomfortable, that'll put us in a situation to hopefully get a score or 2 lead and try and hang on to it. But I hope we don't get into a shootout with them. I really do, because I think that doesn't favor the matchup. I think us grinding it out, playing disciplined defense, getting it done, and then manufacturing points out there on offense, that's our keys to win. If Detroit puts up 30 plus, or this is one of those type of games, doesn't look good for us. That's just my opinion. I like a low scoring sloppy game in the elements, playing good defense, and points are going to be a premium on Sunday. So I think that's the formula. I really do. We got to be good against the run, and we got to get pressure to Jared Goff. We can't let him be comfortable out there. The defense is the X factor in this game for sure.
Yeah. And when you go to NFL team yards per rush attempt this year, Detroit is 5th best in the league at 5.1, actually tied for 4th. And Green Bay is currently sitting in the number 8 spot at 4.9. So you got 2 teams that are top 10 running teams, right? There's no 2 ways about it. Two top 10 rushing teams. Now, when we go look at the rushing defense, if I can find it here, let's go yards per rush attempt, which in my opinion is way more important than rushing yards per game. Detroit is actually significantly lower. They're giving up 4.7 rushing yards per attempt. Green Bay.
Hear that, Josh? You hear that? Let's go, Josh.
And in Green Bay is 8th in the league in rushing yards per attempt allowed at 4.3. So Detroit has the slightly more productive running game in yards per attempt, right? And Green Bay has the much better run defense this year, a legit top 10 run defense at only 4.3 yards per attempt. So if it does rain, Tim, and the passing game is really, really limited, and let's just say that Jordan doesn't go because of groin, and you got Malik Willis out there running that run-heavy offense that we've seen against Indianapolis early in the year and against the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
This is starting to look like, you know what, boys? Might want to look at taking that plus 3.5 for Green Bay. I'm just saying.
We're getting that dub, man. It's coming.
I hope you're right.
And I love that you talked about their yards per attempt on the run defense, 4.7 yards, right? Yeah. Isn't that like exactly what Josh Jacobs is averaging per carry right now? I think he's like 4.5 yards or something per carry.
I think it was up to 4 point. I think it might have been 4.6 or 4.9. I can't remember. But
there you go. So the math is mathing. I mean, we don't play on paper; we play on the field. But absolutely. I mean, if that's what they're known to be giving up, and this is what Josh produces on a weekly basis, this could be another huge game for Josh Jacobs, right? 120 plus yards, hopefully a couple of scores, hopefully, 20 to 25, maybe even 30 carries. We'll see how they distribute the workload and what the game plan is. But hey, who knows? For all we know, Tupac LaFleur might be like, man, who gives a shit about the rain? Let's go. You know what I mean? Let's go. Let's have Malik throwing that ball all over the yard. You never know. Just catch him off guard, right?
Yeah. And so when it comes to yards per carry, Jaden Reed obviously leading the team with 10 yards per carry, hitting those gashers on the end around early in the year. Hasn't been working lately. You guys know I've been very vocal about that. Malik Willis, 8.6 yards per rush attempt. Obviously, you got to kind of put that in consideration, or put that, in perspective, I should say. Malik Willis doing a lot of scrambling. That can inflate those numbers too, the 20-yard gainers, things like that. Bo Melton, 6.8, obviously with the end around with Bo with that speed that we, the listeners were talking about earlier. And then Josh Jacobs, 4.6 yards per attempt. Okay. Right behind him, Emmanuel Wilson, 4.4 yards per attempt. Okay. So those two backs seem to be, all right, let's press into that. And if Malik Willis is your quarterback, let's make them have to account for that RPR. Let's make them have to account for that six-back offense for sure. If this wasn't a rain game, I wouldn't feel nowhere near as good about this matchup right now. If this was in the Dome in Detroit, I'd be sitting there going, with Jordan banged up, might be hard to get the passing game going, It would kind of favor the Detroit Lions, but the way this is sitting here, man. And also you take into consideration this too, Tim. If I still got, I may have delayed. I think I delayed. No, here it is. This, throw this into the mix too, that nobody on the planet is giving the Packers a chance to win this game. This feels like the recipe for a trap game for Detroit. It really does, man. Hope that's the case. Really do. And it's going to come down to who's actually playing in the game. Obviously, the injury report's going to play a big thing. Randy Cleaver's in the chat. Detroit is due for a bad game, and we're going to give it to them. Hey, again, you're going out there, you're playing with the house's money. Nobody's expecting you to win. There's going to be elements involved. You have the better run defense. Yeah, let's go out there and smack Goff in the mouth. Let's do it. Yep. If you jump out to an early lead and they have to pass in the elements, and one of the high points for us this year, according to PFF, has been our coverage grade. Kind of makes sense, right? And then
Crap City.
Also, we're not just let's pin our ears back and rush 4. We like to do a lot of these simulated pressures and the mugging and everything. The recipe for the last 2 weeks and getting pressure on Goff has been that. Now, don't get me wrong. They've won the ball games. You got to take that into consideration too. But, yeah, I like what Deadfish said here too, man. We played pretty well against Detroit in the last meeting, and now we got safeties, and they don't have Hutchinson. Listen, year to year, everything changes. Last year's Thanksgiving matchup is going to be totally different from this year's. But, Deadfish, you make a great point, man. You really do. Our safety room is much better, and they don't have their best pass rusher.
Yep.
It is what it is. And Ben Johnson was their OC last year when they faced us, right? Now, he may look at facing us totally different this year. I'm trying to think of if Detroit has played anybody, Tim, and I'm going to go look real quick, and if you want to take over for a second, I'm going to see if Detroit's played anyone that runs our defenses. So they beat the Titans. They don't run our defense. They beat the Vikings. They don't run our defense. The Cowboys don't run our defense. The Seahawks do not run our defense to the best of my knowledge. They haven't faced anyone that runs our defense. They haven't faced the Jets. They haven't faced the Niners. They haven't faced, if I'm looking at it correctly here, they haven't faced Houston, right? They got the Texans after us. So this is going to be the first time that they've seen this Robert Saleh style defense, and it looks like Hafley's taken a lot out of Minnesota's playbook with the double A.
They haven't really played outside in the elements this year either. This will be kind of new territory for them, having to come outside and play in November in Lambeau. So I will say this, man, it's Detroit, and one thing I know about Dan Campbell and those guys is
he's going to have them
ready. They're going to be ready, and they will not hesitate to run a reverse or some crazy trick play just to catch us off guard. Especially, rain or shine, if we get too aggressive with that pass rush, they will throw a play action bomb down the field. I fully anticipate it. So always be alert for that. Any of the little gadget plays, those kind of things. Detroit's known for doing that at the moment you least expect it also. So always something you got to consider.
Yeah, and when you look at the teams they beat, here's who they beat so far this year, guys. They beat the Rams. They lost to the Buccaneers. They beat the Cardinals. They beat the Seahawks. They beat it doesn't have their record list. I'd love to know what their record is now, but it doesn't matter. They beat the Seahawks at home. They beat the Cowboys on the road. You guys know the Cowboys are in an absolute tailspin right now. They beat the Vikings on the road only by 2 points. Keep in mind, we lost to the Vikings by 2 points. So I think the Vegas line is right there at that plus 3.5. I think that really is an accurate line. And then versus the Titans, they beat them 52-14, which the Titans are obviously one of the worst teams in the league. And some people are probably going, listen, all I heard that week that we beat the Titans were horrible. So now all of a sudden we're not allowed to mention that the reason the Lions beat boat racing was because the Titans are horrible. Ain't it funny how that works, Tim? Like we beat the Lions or we beat the Titans, beat the brakes off of them. Well, they're a bad team. And then everybody's like, look what they did to the Titans, the Detroit Lions. Okay, so that doesn't apply now? Like, what are we doing? Yep. Funny how that works. But anyway, that's kind of a look at how their schedule has shaken out to this point. I want to take one last look at something, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this big bear up.
Not this guy, right? You don't want to look at this guy.
Please, God, no. So looking at the coverages and kind of what the Lions are doing, listen, they got one of the best overall passing defenses in the league. Their EPA per dropback is minus 0.07. But again, we talked about their run defense being the weaker point of their defense. It's not that they're horrible, but the Packers have a much better run defense, statistically speaking. The coverages that they play, so they play 37% of the time they play cover one man, all right? So they're in man coverage a lot. We talk about this all offseason. They run man coverage second most in the league, and they've got one of the bottom half run defenses as far as yards per attempt. Remember what we talked about man coverage, Tim?
Yep.
You run on man coverage. You want to run the football on man coverage.
Yep.
Especially with some of like the delayed draws and stuff that Matt LaFleur ran early in his career, and he's really gotten away from it. But little RPR look, and if you read man coverage, hand that ball off. And if they try to fire one of those guys and they got a safety late rotating down, you might be able to hit a lookie or two or a bubble on that RPO look. You might see the reemergence of the RPO game.
Little pistol, little quick pitch or something. Yeah, I'm all for it, man. If they want to line up, man up, let's go. Let's run the ball down their throats. Let's do it.
So they're either playing cover one man, cover four zone, or cover three zone is what they're playing. It's a large majority of the time. You got cover one man 37% of the time. You got cover four zone 20% of the time. You got cover three 18% of the time. Everything else is under 10%. So you're going to see a lot of cover one man, I would imagine. Now, how do you beat cover one man? There's a multitude of ways that you can beat it. In cover one man, typically they play outside leverage because they got help over the middle. Are they going to bring a blitz or not? Are they going to pressure? Okay, that's going to be the big question on whether or not they're playing cover one hole, cover one robber, right? And with robber, it's real simple. One of the safeties rotate down, cover middle zone. So what you're doing is outside technique with the corners because you got inside help in zone, right, with the cover one-man look. That's going to be the big thing. When it comes to bringing pressure, too, like cover 0, 4% of the time, I'm trying to just take a quick glance. So they're playing cover 2-man 9% of the time. Yeah, it's going to be cover 1-man the majority of the day. Now, it might not be to the tune of 37%. That might drop down to 28%, right? But the majority of what you're going to see defensively is going to be cover 1-man. The elements, their play style on defense, the statistics, it all lines up for if you got Josh Jacobs on your fantasy team, make sure he's starting this week. And you might want to look at the over on Emmanuel Wilson or Chris Brooks. I would say Emmanuel Wilson over Chris Brooks, but might want to go and look at DraftKings Sportsbook or BetUS and see what the prop bet is on Emmanuel Wilson, and maybe look for some easy money there on the over, because again, it's going to be Packers going to have to press into the run. They're going to have to do it. And with this weather forecast now, Tim, I'm almost to the point where I'm like, you know what? Let's let Jordan rest up. Let's trot Malik out there and make sure Jordan gets healthy, right? Yep. I know you like to dive in every week to what officials are going to be on the field, right? Have you had time to do any research on that?
Here's the guy.
Oh, who is this guy? Talk to him.
Cleet Blakeman.
Okay.
I mean, he's not Ron Tolbert, but
I wish there's got to be a stat. I apologize for chewing, but this we're giving out Halloween candy today, and this Tootsie Roll was just staring me in the eye. I had to do it. Sponsor the show, Tootsie Roll. So I wonder if there's a way we can get statistics on NFL officials. NFL officials stats. I would love to see all refer. Look at this.
Here you go. Here's all you need right here. Look at him and Raj, buddy.
Why does he look pinged up too? My man looked like he'd been on the marching powder or something or two. Allegedly. All right. All right. So I've got a website that probably ain't even accurate. We're gonna pull it up in 2023. It's got the 2023. Actually, it's got 2024. Oh, looky here, Tim. I got to put this on the screen. We may go over, but you're going to appreciate the hell out of this, bud. I found a website that shows the officials that's thrown the most flags. Can you guess who's number one?
Ronnie Boy?
Look at here. Number one on the list, Ron Tolbert.
Hey, I knew it. Now here's the guy who likes his flags.
Now, Tim, look who's second. Cleet Blakeman. Oh, my God. Now, here's the deal with holding calls this year. The trend we're seeing is I get emotional over it too. The trend we're seeing is they are calling holding on runs, is what I'm understanding. They're letting a lot of stuff go in the passing game on holds, but in the running game, they're calling a bunch of holds. So, rain game,
oh man,
a lot of running. This might be a flag fest. Whatever the over is on the flags this week, take it. If you can find a crappy little site that lets you bet on that aspect. I'm trying to see. They don't differentiate between running plays or passing plays here, do they? Let's see. No, I don't look like it. So with Cleet Blakeman.
Wait a second. Lions hate this guy. That's good.
Hey, that's great. That's what we're wanting.
Lions fans complaining of. Okay. All right.
And here's the thing too, with Cleet Blakeman, more flags are thrown against the away team, right, than the home team. He's averaging 8.7 flags for the away team and only 7.5 flags for the home team. Now look at Ron Tolbert, totally the opposite. Ron Tolbert throwing the hell out of that flag against the home team.
He just likes to be on camera. He likes that he gets to walk and be on camera, turn the mic on. I like Randy Cleaver's here. Where are the PFF grades for officials?
There you go. We need to start that, Tim. We need to do that. We need to have the official of the week and the official cheeks of the week or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I guarantee you it'd be real simple. Whoever threw the least amount of flags will win the official of the week. And that's it. Exactly. That's all it would be. Forget context. Forget what actually happened on the field and whether it did warrant a flag. We just want to see less flags, period. So, but Cleet Blakeman, man, he's leading the league right now in yardage, looks like, isn't he?
Yep.
At 1,022 yards of This is not good, guys. This is
look at Omer. Rasheed Walker going to have a long day.
It's so true.
Oh, man.
Dang, man. So what I need to do is bookmark this site, though, man. This is a kind of a cool site where we can look at the officials each week and kind of get – I'm just saying be mentally prepared for a lot of flags, right? Going to happen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Hold up a second. Is he leading the league and he hasn't even officiated? Like, they've only had 7 games?
Yep.
Oh, my God, dude. This guy is – he's leading the league in yardage and overall count penalties. I guess with his crew, is that how that works?
I think so, yeah.
And this is only 7 games, and Ron Tolbert has been in 8. That's wild. Yeah, get ready, boys. I'm just closing it. I'm starting to get pissed off now. There are going to be a lot of flags this Sunday. Just get mentally prepared, okay? All right. Anything else, Tim? Anything else you want to cover, bud?
No, man. I think we hit a lot today. This was great. Morning shows are back. I love it.
Yeah, man. We'll start to sprinkle them in. There'll be more each week. And once we get into probably the 3rd or 4th week of November, we'll be doing a morning show every day for sure. Now, we got trick-or-treating this evening. We got a whole setup. I think Mandy had to take a loan out to get all the candy that we purchased for the kids here, to be honest with you. That was me when I seen the box. I'm like, what is this? It was just loaded with just nothing but snacks. Now, I've been trying to stash the Reese cups. I've been trying to hide them all over the house.
See, you're like me. Those right away. Throw a couple in the fridge, throw a couple in the freezer, hide a couple in the cupboard. Yeah.
Tim, if I had your metabolism, bro, I'm just telling you right now, I would eat 7,000 calories of Reese cups a day. But they
been there, done that. It was amazing.
The white chocolate Reese cups. Oh my God. Have you tried them, Tim?
No, I haven't.
And
I'm not a big white chocolate guy, but
there's
if it's a Reese, I'll try it.
They're good, man. They're good. But the pumpkins, the traditional pumpkins, though, oh my God. Straight diabetes right here, man. This is going to be me. That's me when Mandy walks in with the Reese cups. I'm like, where are those Reese cups at? I come creeping in the kitchen.
And this is me when Mrs. Green comes in and says, where are they? I say, they're over there somewhere. Don't worry about it. Forget about it.
This is how I had to load the candy into the house, man. I had to get Tucker out here with the forklift. So
Mandy's over here looking like flag on the play.
All right, this show sucks. We're out of here. We'll see y'all. Here's what I was getting at with the track. I got sidetracked with food, man. My double chin took over. We're going to be doing trick-or-treating, I think, around 5 or 6 my time. There's a chance we could do a show in the afternoon, but I got a lot I got to get done. I got to run out of town. We got to go vote. Everybody get out and vote. Don't care who you vote for. Just make sure you vote. Get your voice heard. Got to go vote. Got to go run a couple errands. If I get back in time, we'll probably go live at about 2:30 Eastern, which will be about 1:30 your time, maybe, Tim. Okay. I'll see how it shakes out. I'm not going to schedule it because I don't want to mislead anybody, but you guys may see an afternoon show pop up here in a little bit, but definitely not one
for that time then to get back myself.
Cool. Sounds good, man. All right. Help me out here, Tim, if you can. I don't know if you got it queued up.
But, that's all right. I can do it. For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack Go. Happy Halloween.